Satellite communication on an iPhone. We are truly living in the future. Hello there, I'm Dave from Chase the Summit, and in this video today, I want to talk about the brand new iPhone 14 and 14 Pro and why they're kind of changing the game for outdoor enthusiasts like hikers, backpackers, climbers, trail runners, and everybody else out there. And why, as an ultra runner and outdoor enthusiast myself, I've already placed a pre-order for the iPhone 14 Pro. By the way, this is not an iPhone 14 Pro, this is the 13 Pro. I'm still waiting for my 14 Pro like everybody else. And if you are one of these outdoorsy people, you probably know what this little thing is. This is the Garmin InReach Mini 2. It's a compact satellite communicator designed for times when you're off the beaten path with no cellular service or Wi-Fi. Because in case you're unaware, cell phones like the iPhone 13 Pro rely on a series of cell phone towers or antennas to communicate. These can't communicate by themselves, where something like the InReach Mini 2 can. This connects directly with the satellites in the sky to send messages to your friends and family or to let them know where you are. The InReach Mini 2 and all of the satellite communicators out there kind of cut out the middleman that is the cell phone tower and connect directly with a series of satellite networks up in the sky to get your message across. This little device allows for real-time live tracking, emergency SOS communication, along with recreational messaging like two-way text messaging and some basic navigation tools. And on top of all that, the InReach Mini 2 can actually get a weather forecast for upcoming days when you're off the grid and want to know what's going on outside, if you need to stay in your tent or if you can continue your hike. And while the InReach Mini 2 is an excellent tool and provides peace of mind for your friends and family, it's got a few downsides. First, the price. The InReach Mini 2 comes in at $400, which itself isn't cheap, but on top of that initial price tag, you do have to sign up for a subscription that can cost anywhere between $15 and all the way up to $65 per month. And that's a lot of money for a device that you may not use every day of the week. Myself, if I'm using this device, it's like once or twice a month, and I'm paying $15 or $65 just to use it for that amount of time. And as a casual adventurer, that cost does add up. And on top of the price, there's also other things, like the fact that you've got another thing in your backpack or your trail running vest that's going to add weight to your total pack weight. I know it's a tiny device, but it does weigh something. And you do have to consider that there's another battery in here to keep charged and maintained. It's just another thing to worry about. And that brings me back to the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro, because Apple announced a new feature in these phones, and that is, you guessed it, satellite communication in the iPhone 14 Pro built right into the phone. So this new iPhone 14 design actually uses the metal frame of the phone as an antenna, which is really impressive because previously all satellite communication devices had a big clunky antenna, including the Garmin InReach Mini 2. Before we dive into how this new feature is going to work, if you're finding this video helpful or fun or educational or anything, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel down below, because that really helps me out. And check out the links down below if you're planning on getting an iPhone 14 Pro, because those links do help support this channel. Okay, let's move on. So I want to quickly walk through how this feature is going to work on the iPhone 14 as best I understand from Apple's documentation. First of all, you're going to need to be in an area that has no cellular or Wi-Fi connection. The phone will not default into that satellite communication mode unless you're truly off the grid and it can't pick up any other way to communicate. First, you're going to need to hold your phone steady in your hand in a natural position. And they say not to wave it around in the sky like the old days, just hold it in a steady position in front of you. They also say that you need to be outside with a clear view of the sky. The more clear the sky is for your viewing, the better signal you're going to get on your phone. Even clouds or trees or anything like that will have an effect on your connection. What's really cool about this new feature on the iPhone 14 Pro is that if the phone is having a hard time connecting to a satellite, it'll actually put an animation on the screen that will help guide you into a good position to get a good connection. It'll actually show a map of the satellite and where your phone is in relation to the satellite and tell you which way to turn to get a good connection with that satellite. Apple also suggests dialing 911 before opting to use the satellite connection, because 911 might actually work when you're off the grid. It actually can utilize cell phone towers even if your phone isn't connected to them, like in roaming or whatever. However, if your call does not go through, there's going to be a new button on the call screen that says emergency text via satellite, or you can simply text 911 using your messages app on your iPhone. Now, after you actually have a connection with the emergency responders, you'll be able to communicate them using simple taps on the screen. You can't actually send full text messages to them. Instead, they'll ask you simple questions like, do you have a broken bone? Do you have water with you, etc. And you'll be able to say yes or no, or choose from multiple choices. The other really interesting thing about this new feature is that once you connect with emergency responders, all of your information from your phone will be sent over to emergency responders. That can be anything like your height and weight and age and everything that's set up in your medical ID and your emergency contact information if you have that configured in your phone. It does sound really scary to send this kind of confidential information over the air. However, all this information is going to be encrypted on your end and decrypted on their end, so there's no way anybody can steal it in between the 2 points. As far as I know, I'm just some guy on YouTube, but it sounds like it's pretty secure. In Apple's documentation, they do say that messaging can take about 15 seconds to a minute, depending what kind of view to the sky you have. It's a pretty slow process, but honestly, that's no different than another satellite communication device like this InReach Mini 2. Sometimes it takes me 1 or 2 minutes to get a message through. That's just the way it works when you're dealing with satellite communication. So the new satellite connection with the iPhone 14 is mainly for emergency situations if you need help. However, they did add one non-emergency use to the iPhone 14, and that's going to be able to share your location using the Find My app on your phone with your friends and family without a cellular connection or Wi-Fi. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, maybe you're on the Appalachian Trail through hiking or something like that, you'll be able to drop a pin to your location to your friends and family so they know exactly where you are, even if you don't have cell service. Now that I've sort of hyped up this new safety feature on the iPhone 14, let's talk about why getting a dedicated PLB or personal location beacon or satellite communicator like the Garmin InReach Mini 2 is a better option. What advantages do these have? The first reason you might want a satellite communicator instead of going for the iPhone 14 is because you can use this casually. You don't have to be in an emergency situation to send a text message to your friends and family. With the Garmin InReach Mini 2, I can actually go on my phone, use the Garmin Explorer app, and send a message just like I was texting my wife to tell her where I was or what I'm doing, even when I don't have a cellular connection. Another reason to go with a dedicated SATCOM device is because typically you have some form of live tracking. On this InReach Mini 2, I can share a link to my friends and family when I'm going off on a big trail run, and they can actually track me in real time no matter where I am in the world and see an actual track of my points along my route and where I am based on the course, and a lot of information, even sharing things like my total distance and pace and things like that. You can get that from the InReach Mini 2. You do not get that with the iPhone 14. Another advantage to the InReach Mini 2 is that it has a dedicated SOS button. If I've got this on the front of my pack and I'm in a pinch, maybe I've fallen and I can't get to my pockets or my arm's broken or something, there are situations where having that simple button on the side of the device is very important. All I have to do is get a hold of my InReach Mini 2, pop open this cap on the side, and hold down that button, and then help will be sent. And on that point of accessibility, that simple button is great, but even better is that I can pair the InReach Mini 2 to my Garmin watch like this Epix Gen 2, and with my watch, I can trigger an SOS that will go through the antenna on the InReach Mini 2, and then I'll have a satellite SOS signal going out from my watch, which is really cool. And I got to assume the Apple Watch Ultra will do something similar with the new iPhone 14, but time will tell. They're not out yet, so we will find out when they're released. The final thing I want to talk about here is availability, and that's again where the InReach system just works better. On the iPhone 14, you are limited to the USA and Canada at the time of filming this video. I'm sure they're going to roll it out to more countries, but for now, they've only got the infrastructure in USA and Canada. On the flip side, the Garmin InReach relies on the Iridium satellite network, which is basically covering the entire world. It's like 90% of the world. There's a few dark spots on their map, but they basically are a global system. So you could be anywhere in the world and hit SOS and somebody's gonna come to your rescue, hopefully. Now let's briefly talk about price for a minute. I already talked about the price of the InReach Mini 2. It's about $400 to get the device, and then you need to pay between $50 and $65 a month to continually use it with the subscription. The iPhone 14 is actually giving you this new satellite feature for free when you activate a new iPhone 14, which is really awesome. Every iPhone user that activates an iPhone 14 will get 2 years for free included with the purchase of their phone of this new emergency service, which is really awesome. However, after that 2 years, Apple hasn't explained how much it's going to cost. I don't even know if they know that yet. They're probably still coming up with a price structure and how many features they're going to have down the road. But for now, it's kind of unknown. I think for me personally, for this service, I'd like it to be like under 10 bucks, maybe $5 a month for something you probably will never have to use, but it would be nice to have in a pinch. Now I just want to go through my final thoughts on this new feature on the iPhone 14 and 14 Pro. This is a welcome addition to the iPhone 14, and I hope it's something other phone manufacturers start doing, like Samsung and Android phones out there, because it is super cool. I do understand that Apple probably did a ton of work before launch day to get the infrastructure there. It was probably a ton of work to make this work, but it is super cool, and I feel like because it's free, no one should complain about it. If anything, this new feature on the iPhone 14 could potentially save someone's life, and that is truly amazing. And if you couple that with like the new crash detection on the Apple Watch and the Apple Watch Ultra, and now you've got satellite communication on the iPhone 14, they've really been thinking ahead in terms of safety features, and I do like that. On the other hand, even though this is a free feature and I can't really complain about it, I do wish there were a few more recreational features like sending text messages over satellite. That would have been super cool. Maybe it's coming down the road. We don't have it yet. And within forums and Reddit posts and things, I've been seeing a lot of discussion about this because people are saying Apple just killed the Garmin InReach system. And unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. Well, I say unfortunately, it's good for Garmin because I do think there's a market still for the InReach system because, like I said, there are a lot of advantages, and because this is more of a recreational device than just an emergency device, even though it's also something for emergencies. And as a trail runner and someone who goes off the grid in the mountains and things like that, I do think I'll still carry along my InReach Mini for big adventures and things where I know I'm going to be out there for a while. But for everyday runs, when I'm just off the grid for a little amount of time and I don't want to carry a bunch of stuff, it's awesome to know that my phone has some safety capabilities. And that's really it for this video. I just want to try to explain as best I could from what I understand from their website and documentation how this new satellite feature is going to work and why it's a big deal for outdoor enthusiasts like myself. Now I want to hear from you. Are you getting an iPhone 14? And if you are, is the satellite function something you even knew about? Is it something you're actually getting the phone just because it has it? Let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. If you found this video helpful, fun, entertaining, anything, please consider giving me a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel down below because that really helps me out. And if you're planning on getting the iPhone 14, the Garmin InReach Mini, or even the Garmin watches I showed off in this video, I'll have everything linked in the description down below, and those links do help support this channel, so use them. Simple as that. Okay, friends, I've been doing a lot of talking today. I really need to go for a run. I'll see you next time. Bye.